talking the last several weeks about your mission and your vision, your audience. Last week, we really zoomed in and focused on identifying those pain points. Good morning, G-Man. And so I thought this week we would dive in and really focus on making that connection, that sales piece, because I don't know about you, but I still struggle with that sales piece because I don't want to be salesy. I don't want to be that, the used car salesman type thing, right? So I want to be, I get nervous. I still get nervous even after 19 years that I'm not being pushy and I'm not being salesy. So I think it's something that we all struggle with no matter where we are in our business journey, whether we're just starting or we just have an idea or we're a veteran and we've been around for decades. Right? So I thought today we just kind of walk through 3 steps or the 3 stages. And just kind of let you guys, we'll walk through it and see what you guys have to say and what your feedback is and your input. Remember, as much as I'm a talking head, I can see your comments. So interact, drop your comments and your thoughts as we go along. I'm going to be asking questions for you as well to provide your own feedback and to think about your own sales process and what that sounds and looks like for you. For those that are new to the group, welcome. My name is Karen Kleinwort, and I have been a holistic business coach for almost 19 years now. What makes me different is I have a certification in Reiki, so Reiki Master Teacher, and craniosacral therapy, plus my degrees and all my experience in corporate and business. And I marry the 3 of those. And we really take that mind, body, spirit as one. So whenever we look through for strategies and solutions for business or for you as a person, we look at it the whole you, not just one piece of it. And that's part of what makes me different. It's my unique selling proposition when we're talking about sales, right? So, and I try and bring that to everything we do within this Facebook group and over in the Women's Business Resource Community. To me, your other 2 elements outside of your mind are just as important. We need to make sure we're nurturing all of that. Which is why today, when we talk about the sales success formula, it's really not just a formula. Part of it is really the mindset, because we can stop ourselves mid-journey, mid-sentence, mid-thought before following through, right? And so the objective today is really to look at that sales process about you're really building relationships and you want to close the deal. That sounds so salesy, right? You really want to partner with somebody. And that could be whether it's a product-based or a service-based, right? You really want to partner with somebody because it's a long-term. It's not just a short-term situation. So, right? So stage 1 is we're looking at attracting. How do we get in front of the right people? The second stage is how do we nurture those individuals that we are now in front of, right? So we're building that trust and that connection. And then the third piece is the conversion, or how do we convert them, aka close a sale, but with confidence. So if I were going to ask you, when you're thinking of sales, what do you believe is your biggest challenge around sales right now? What do you believe is your biggest challenge? Because remember, sales isn't about selling. It's about building that trust and solving problems. So when we have that mindset of I'm being pushy or salesy, we need to flip it to reminding ourselves, oh, right, we're serving them. We're building and providing value, right? So when you think about that, have you thought about it? Where are you guys at? Like, what are your thoughts? What's your biggest challenge around sales? Okay, so sometimes the comments come up later, so I will keep watching them. So even if I don't acknowledge them right away, just know I will come back to them because I've got my phone here that I'm looking at. So let's dive in. The 3 stages. So the first stage, right? Stage 1, we're attracting. We're getting in front of the right people. And this is where we've done this deep dive of the last 2 or 3 trainings, right? That ideal customer, your avatar, your client persona. Some people will call it the ideal customer profile or an ICP. So if you hear that acronym, that's what it really is. It's that client persona, your avatar, right? So we want to look at how are we attracting them through the use of content, through networking? What are our lead generation strategies, right? Because we want to be attracting not just anybody, but quality leads, right? So when we think about that, we want to make sure we're attracting the right people. How confident, this is another question, how confident are you on, your perfect ideal client? So Jean is saying pricing. So her biggest challenge, right? So that question is, what's the biggest challenge? And she's saying right now her pricing. Okay. So Jean, I want you to think about the pricing piece, and we'll come back to that in a minute. And if you want to expand a little bit in the comments, you can. And just know this is a safe space. Like, yes, we're in the public with the group and everything, but if you ever want to just shoot me a DM and we can talk about it afterwards, just do that. Like if you kind of get where you want to get a little bit deeper and more vulnerable, you can do that. We can do that in the messaging. So it's not a problem. So what is a quality lead? Right? A quality lead, it's not just the right person, like a potential customer, right? It's somebody who has a clear need or problem that we solve, that our product or service solves. So Jean, can you just remind me what is your product or service that you provide? So what's your business? Just a little recap for us. Right? And a quality lead is somebody who matches that ideal client. So not just the demographic, but the behaviors, their motivations, and their goals. And the third piece is, and this ties right into what Jean was saying, right? Pricing. They can afford your solution and they're willing to invest in it. And so that's a quality lead. Clear need or problem, that they're ideal client for you, and they can afford, they have the disposable income or the funds available to purchase your product or invest in your service. So the fourth thing, right? They also have to have a genuine interest. They want to know more about you or your business, and they want to engage with your brand. And you can kind of catch that pulse when you do some social listening. We talked about social listening in a couple of trainings a few weeks ago, right? And then where are they at in their buying journey? Like, what are they just thinking about buying the product or adding that service to their life? Where are they at? Or are they ready to buy today? So you want to know where they're at in their journey through the conversation, right? So we just don't want to bring random people, because if they're random and they don't really align with the product or service you provide, then they're really not going to be your ideal client in the end. And you could end up spinning your wheels and they could be spinning their wheels, and then it doesn't make either of you happy, right? So you really want to make sure you know those 5 elements, that they are a quality lead for you, right? So how do we do that? How do we attract those leads, right? Content marketing, how you position yourself as the go-to expert, networking, building genuine relationships with, people online and offline. And then how do you bring in new leads, especially when we're looking online, right? We're in the online marketplace and we're like, wow, we are surrounded by hundreds of thousands of people. Doesn't matter what platform you're on, right? How do you bring in those leads and track them to you, right? So those are the 3 things we're gonna quickly go through. I'm not gonna do a deep dive into all of them. We could, and this might be something, if you guys are interested, you can let me know. We can always spend a couple of hours and do a specific workshop around this sales scripting and formula and kind of closing and getting to that yes in the end if you want. But quickly, let's, those 3 pieces, right? So the content marketing. What kind of content are you doing? So are you doing video or live streams just like today, right? So part of you getting to know me is by me providing these informational, educational value live stream trainings for you, right? Do you do blog posts or social media? Where are you at for the type of content? Do you host a podcast or do you give interviews? And then is there a lead. So they call them lead magnets. So do you have some sort of guide or a workbook or a checklist or a template that you can give somebody in exchange for their email address? Right? Because again, that email address gives you that direct contact and permission to reach out. Right? That's the big key. So that's the types of content that when we're looking at attracting a quality lead, we want to be thinking about, right? The second one we talked about was networking, building genuine, authentic relationships. This is about the organic growth. This is not, sales and doing ads, right? But I think some of us skip that networking piece. One, we get comfortable being online. We get comfortable being, in Facebook groups or on Instagram and interacting that way. But there is a one-on-one conversation situation that is really supportive to building trust, right? It's one of the reasons that we started the Savvy in the Square monthly networking events. They're virtual, but we get to come together and we can share and exchange ideas and thoughts. And you never know what the connection might be and who you might meet, how either you can support them or they can support you. You might get a client out of it. So networking really is a great way to not just meet people, but potentially collaborate. And then you have conversations that are purposeful. It goes a little bit deeper, right? So then the third one was lead generation. We talked about it just not being haphazard, but how do you create a lead generation system? So what does that, exchange of email for a resource might look like? So part of the lead generation is you need a landing page where they can opt in. And in exchange for that, they end up, right? They fill out the form and you get their email address and then they get that free resource. Once you get those emails, then it becomes about email marketing and nurturing those leads. And then some people will do those paid ads. And I know there's a few people in the group that are, oh, did I freeze? Hang on a second. Oh, no, I didn't. Okay, there we go. It just froze on my phone. How about that? I'm trying to make sure I don't miss the comments. Hang on, give me a second. Okay, well, hopefully. Oh, there we are. Okay. All right, see, Jean Ann, I did not see those. See, there's the comments coming through now. See, I missed all those. I'm sorry. Let's see. So yeah, so Jean says she does fluid art, but have been putting it on clothing. And she's actually in a boutique in Midland with my clothing. I'm moving over to functional art right now with the clothing. Awesome. Perfect. I love that. Okay. So then going back to, see, it's not letting me show the comments that you did before. So I'm gonna have to go by memory. Ooh, this is gonna be interesting. So you were talking about pricing as your number one challenge, your biggest challenge. So pricing your art in the clothing. Okay, got it. Perfect. All right. So getting back on track, right? So we're talking about how do we attract those clients, quality leads, and the lead generation and exchange. So using Jean Ann as an example, for her to do something like a lead magnet, people might say, is that really realistic? What could she give in exchange, right? So it could be a discount. Join our email newsletter and receive a 20% coupon off your first purchase type thing, right? So there are ways, no matter if you're product-based or service-based, that you can provide value to somebody giving you their email address in exchange. So think about that. Think about how could you create, yeah, see, it's not letting me, I'm trying to do that, but it's not working. Anyways, okay, that's a squirrel moment here. Okay, that's going to frustrate me, but whatever. So think about what kind of lead magnet for your product or service that you could create. And because what you want to do is you want to make sure you're strategic about it. Once you get their email, what are you going to do with that email? Because it's great to get that personal contact information, but if you don't follow through, then all of a sudden they kind of go cold and they're not really they're not really becoming a client at that point, right? You're not nurturing that, which is where we get into that stage 2, which is that nurture where you're building trust and connection. The key is somebody might pop in, you want to keep them in. How do you keep them, right? And we know there's they call it the KLT factor, right? So the know, like, and trust. We need them to go through those 3 steps before they purchase. Because I don't know about you, but I buy from people that I like and I trust, especially if it's an investment of any size. And that any size, I say it that way because depending upon the day, week, or month, it could be different. So you want to think about that. So the nurturing, right? 3 pieces to that. You're going to want to stay consistently visible with valuable content. You want to be able to build personal relationships with your audience and then create a follow-up system that actually converts, right? So, maybe now I see the comments. All right, we'll see. We'll see. It's the small things, you guys. It's the small things for me. All right, so we're looking at nurturing because we want to make sure people trust us. No matter what we are, quote unquote, selling, people need to trust us. They need to trust that what they're going to receive from us is of quality, right? That we stand behind what it is we are selling. So, and really when you're nurturing, it's critical to your sales. If you don't have that nurturing piece, right, then nothing ends up happening. So I want to share 3 facts with you. The first one is 80% of sales require at least 5 follow-ups. But most of us stop after 1 or 2. And I always tell my clients, you want to be looking at 7 to 10 touches before a potential customer will consider even doing business with you. And those touches could be an email, could be interacting with you on your social media, could be showing up to a training like today, right? So I always say 7 to 10 to fully convert, right? So this fact is saying 80% require at least 5 touches, interactions, for them to even get to the point of them wanting to say yes, right? Second fact, customers are more likely to buy from a brand they've interacted with multiple times through different touch points. And again, right, I was just saying touch points. It's not just a one point of contact. I'm just not getting emails from this brand. I may be getting a text message, or I might be seeing them come up on my news feed, right? How am I being exposed to the brand in multiple ways that I start to feel comfortable with them? Because now I'm interacting and they become part of my, not daily life, but kind of, right? The other fact is if you're not actively nurturing the lead, then you're leaving money on the table. And my team and I, we talk about this all the time, right? With the Women's Business Resource Community, where are we leaving money on the table? And we're not taking it from a sales perspective. We're taking it because we want to impact women business owners. And if we don't have them say yes, becoming a member, then yes, we're leaving money on the table, but we're also meaning we're not impacting them. We're not making that positive economical impact. And that's our number one goal, right? So actively nurturing. So Jean, and using your business as an example, right? It's clothing, but how are you going to nurture that? So when you think about an email journey, what could you be offering in that email newsletter that's of value? So it could be something like current trends. What's the hot color of the month? Or is there a color of the month? Or is there a certain new style that's coming out? Something like that. So you're going to want to think about how do you nurture that relationship where you start to elevate yourself as that expert in the field, right? And so when we're saying that nurturing, that process and being consistent, and I know people say, I hate that. I hate being consistent. You know, when somebody says be consistent, the beautiful part of being consistent is you get to choose the consistency. It's not me coming to you and saying, you have to post Monday, Wednesday, Friday. You need to send a newsletter every Tuesday. You know your market, you know your audience. You set the consistency and the tone and the timing. So if it means you're going to send a monthly newsletter instead of a weekly, just be consistent with the month. That's the key, right? You want to be able to say that you are top of mind for them when they think they might need a new shirt or a gift for somebody. They want to have your business top of mind. Oh, I want to get them that, right? Or I have this problem, this challenge. This is a solution I'm looking for. You want to be top of mind for that solution, right? So sending helpful tips and insights, engaging with that content that you're posting on social media, right? So posting, basically we call it, dump and jump. You can't just post and then never show back up. You need to be posting and interacting with those that are your ideal customers, right? So going live on Facebook like this is a great way to nurture those leads, right? They get to know you as a person. You can create, especially with a product base, like a free challenge where they actually, get to win a prize of your product, right? So something like that. So you want to think about, how do you consistently be top of mind for them, right? Because you're wanting to build that personal relationship, right? People buy. This is that, know, like, and trust. This is that like part where they want to connect with you because they like you. And it's not just a one-way conversation, right? So like we were talking about engaging like that, you just can't dump and jump. You want to be personally engaging with people, right? So what does that look like? You can also start to look at driving engagement through polls or surveys, right? Really learn about what the needs of your customers are so you can speak directly to them. From a sales perspective regarding services, right? You can be offering interactive conversations, whether it be a strategy call or a discovery call, something about them, how you can support them, right? So using Gina and you as an example with a clothing business, it might be where you offer a 15-minute consult on, color strategy. What's the best color for them, or what's the best outfit for them, or for the shape of their body, right? So you can start to think about how do you meet them where they're at with the information that you have, right? And it's great when we get to that point of saying, okay, so we're nurturing these, and now all of a sudden they're interested. What happens? What's the next step? The next step is we have to have a follow-up system, right? You can't just let them kind of sit and be forgotten about. So what is your first follow-up? What's that strategy look like? So a framework for a follow-up strategy might look like your first follow-up is like 1 to 3 days after they've reached out initially, or they've interacted with you first, right? The second follow-up might be a week later, where you share a testimonial about how somebody loves your product or service that relates directly to them, right? You don't want to do an apples to banana type thing. Like if they're interested in X, but you're starting to share a testimonial or a case study about Y, it's not going to be relative. And they're going to be like, why are they sharing this with me? It doesn't make sense. And then they get confused, and then that's their jumping off, right? So the third follow-up might be a couple of weeks later, where you offer them something in exchange to entice them to come back, right? So it could be a free resource or another discount coupon or off your product, or you're having a special on a certain product, right? And then the final follow-up could be a couple of weeks later. Your framework is going to be based on who your audience is and what your product or service is and the urgency of it, right? So this framework is between 1 and 4 weeks. Some frameworks there's like 8 touch points within that 4-week period where you're actually reaching out every 3 to 4 days. It really depends on your specific scenario for business. And this is kind of where that A/B testing comes in, where you may try a certain structure and then go, oh, we're not really getting a lot of conversions. People aren't jumping in and saying yes, or they're not, saying and hitting the button to purchase. So then you're going to say, how do I change the follow-up framework? Go back in and say, maybe I need to follow up sooner. Maybe a 4-week period is too long. Maybe I need to follow up every 3 days, so day 3, day 6, day 9, day 12, and then do it over a 2-week period instead of a 4-week period, and see how that works. Don't be afraid to change this piece, that follow-up system. Don't be afraid to change your framework because you want it to work. The first time out of the block, you may not be successful, and that's okay because you've got to learn. You've got to learn what doesn't work so you know what will work in the future. So think about your follow-up emails. What might that look like? What are you going to say to them? What's the value are you going to provide to them? Right? So because the key is about being authentic. And I think that's one of the pieces that a lot of customers are looking for. They're not just looking for, yeah, I like her or I know them. I want to really know that I know the real them, right? And one of the things I tell everybody that comes to the lives, you get me as I am. Some days you're going to hear my dog barking in the background, or the one day the power went out and we had to skip-a-doo around and figure it out, right? You're just going to get the authentic me when you come, and I'm going to mix my words up and I'm not going to make sense sometimes, and I'm going to rephrase things, and that's okay. People want to know the real you, and don't be afraid to make mistakes in this nurturing section, because when they see you make mistakes or slip up, then they know you're real, right? And that is really important for people. Okay, the third step. Before we get into this conversion, do you have questions, thoughts? And we'll recap all this at the end. And I'll watch for the questions as they come up. So stage 3, the conversion part, right? We want to close a sale, but you want to do it with confidence. And I know there's that word sale. We want to close a sale. Unfortunately, for this piece today, we're going to call it sales, because we need to allow ourselves, and I'm not just talking to you guys, I'm talking to myself, okay? We have to get over that sticking point of I'm making a sale, right? Sometimes I go to say the word sale and I can feel it in my heart center. It gets stuck in my throat. Like, I don't want to, I don't, right? And we have to flip the script, right? Yes, it's a sale because it's a numbers thing, but it's about problem solving. It's about providing a solution to their challenge. Or from a product-based perspective, it's providing the product that satisfies and fills the need. So I'm looking for a gift. My need is a gift. So that product might fulfill that need, okay? And we want to make sure that we're making that alignment, right? That it's easy for them to say yes. We know we've attracted the quality leads through stage 1, and we've built the trust and the relationship in stage 2, but to kind of get them over the hump where they're going to say yes, this is where we start to hesitate, right? Why would we start to hesitate? We're going to feel uncomfortable asking for the sale. Hey, do you want to buy this? I think this would be really great. Like, buy this, right? Or you are afraid of rejection, right? So how do we confidently guide this individual down the path to saying yes without feeling pushy or forced? And when you do this step right, they don't even realize that they are naturally at that yes. They're just like, yeah, okay, great, perfect, I love it. Ring it up, right? So let's break down this last piece into 3 steps. The first is about positioning your offer, right? How do you provide that perfect solution? overcoming rejection, objections, and then asking for the sale, right? That last one is a sticking point for a lot of us. So how do we position our offer, right? Right now, most of your leads, if they are here, they've got either your product in your hand or they're looking at your service. If they're there, then they see a value in it because you've nurtured them to see the value based on you and them kind of connecting and making, kind of hitting it off, right? So it's that authentic relationship. So the next logical step is to say yes and buy the product or invest in the service, right? So how do you present it? We need to not just look at the features, right? The obvious pieces are the features, but it's the benefits. What's the benefit your product or service provides? How is it going to improve their life or business? Right? A lot of people will focus on that storytelling. It is, it's an important piece. People love stories, right? And that social proof, the testimonial or a case study, a personal success story, or that heartfelt story where somebody is either wearing your product or using your product and the impact that it made, right? So that use of storytelling, you want to highlight if there's a transformation. How has it positively impacted their life or their business, right? It's now versus where they're going to be, right? You want to give clear steps. You just don't want to kind of send them randomly. It's about how easy, right? Is that KISS method. Keep it simple, silly, right? So it's click here, come to the cash register, buy here, right? You want to make it super simple. If it's complicated, then people are going to be like, I'm out, right? Don't give them an out. You want to make it really simple, right? So sales pitches, those are hard ones, right? It's like, how do I practice my sales pitch? And I put together a worksheet for you guys, and I'll drop the link in the comments when we're done, where you can download it. It walks you through really kind of like 5 steps to create your own sales pitch based on your product or service. But really, when you're looking at that script, that last piece of focusing on the benefits, it's like, I help blank achieve what result without insert your struggle, right? So it might be where an example is, I help busy entrepreneurs streamline their sales process so they can close more deals without feeling overwhelmed. That's a mouthful, right? But that is basically kind of that one sentence sales all encompassing. So you want to think about, how are you presenting that to your potential customer? So second one is overcoming objections or rejection, right? It's like, how do you get past no to get to yes, right? So when we look at those objections, we internalize that as a rejection of us. And so we want to be able to step outside of that and saying, okay, I'm not going to be fearful of the objection. I'm going to welcome that objection as an opportunity to better understand my customer, my client, so I can reassure them that this is the right solution, right? So we'll go through 3 objections that most people, most small businesses experience, right? So one, it's too expensive, right? I don't know how many times, every single one of my clients and myself, we've experienced this. It's like, oh, it's too expensive. You got to take a breath, right? Take a beat, and you look at, how do you reframe it, right? Cost versus an investment. Emphasize the long-term value. So going back to that sales script example that I had just given, right? I completely understand, right? Because the objection is too expensive. I completely understand. Let's look at what this investment will bring to you. More clients, more revenue, time saved. And then you offer a little bit, right? Plus, I offer flexible payment options to make it easier. You remove the obstacle, which is the objection, right? The expense is the objection, right? So another one is I need to think about it, right? Those are your looky-loos. Those are the people that are like kind of window shopping. It's like, oh, I need to think about it. I'm not sure, right? That is an excuse. It's not a reason. So you want to dig deeper. You want to be able to say, if they're thinking they need to think about it more, what's really holding them back? So what do you say to that when they say, I don't know, I need to think about it, right? I totally get it, right? You want to connect with them. You want to make sure they feel they are understood and they heard that they've been heard, right? So is there something specific you're unsure about? I'd love to help you feel more confident in your decision, right? How do you help handhold them to that yes? The third one is like, I'm not ready yet. I'm just not ready to buy, or I'm just not ready to invest. So then it's like, and this is where we have to start, that confidence piece, right? It's like, you need to ask them when they think they'll be ready. And then you want to make sure you want to offer a way to stay in touch, right? So, oh, that makes sense. Would it help if I followed up with you in a month? Or in the meantime, I have a free resource that might help you prepare. So a product base might be, oh, that makes sense. Can I add you to our newsletter in case we're having sales in the future? In the meantime, I'd love to offer you a 10% discount because it's February and it's the month of love, and I'd like to show you a little love, right? Something like that. So you want to look at how do you overcome those objections, because we internalize that as a rejection, right? And we want to flip that script. So the third piece is when we ask for the sale. When we ask them to make the purchase or make the investment, if we're not confident, they're not going to be confident, and they're going to question, is this really the right decision for me? Or do I need to keep looking? Right? So if you've really done those first two stages, right, where you're attracting those quality leads and you've nurtured those leads and they've gotten to this point, then we don't really want to wait, right? We don't want them to decide on their own. We want them to be able to, well, I'm just going to say it. People like to be told what to do, right? People just want to say, this is what you need to do. This is the solution for you. This is what you need to do. But for a lot of people, it's really hard to be like that direct. But you can be, right? You don't have to say it just the way I said it, right? Where it's like, this is it. You just got to do this. But a direct approach might be, I'd love to work with you. Are you ready to get started? I'd love to see you wear this shirt. I think it would be fabulous for this upcoming, whatever they might be going to, right? Or it'd be a great gift for your mother or for your aunt or for your daughter, right? So that's the direct approach. Then the soft approach is like, based on what we've discussed, I think this would be a great fit for you. What do you think? And then you put the ball back in their court to see what their next objection might be, right? So for a product base, it might be, based on everything we've been talking about, I think this might be the right solution for this gift that you're looking for. Phrase it however matches the scenario, right? And the third thing is that sense of urgency. When people feel like they might be missing out or they're going to miss out on something, especially like a sale or anything like that, then they're more apt to respond and be quicker to that yes. So that urgency is, I've just got 2 spots left this month. Let's get you locked into that spot today, right? That's a service-based. For a product-based, it might sound like, that's great, but this discount is only going to be, we're only offering it today. We're doing a pop-up and it's just for today that I can offer you this discount. Or these shirts are only available until the end of the week and I only have 3 left. So, I know they've already sold quite quickly and I'm sure they'll sell quickly in the next couple of days. So you want to give them the sense of they're going to miss out. So the key around this final step, right? This closing step, this asking them to be the client or the customer, the only way you're going to be confident is if you actually practice, right? So you want to, either you record yourself, audio record or video record, but you want to practice this piece of it. And if you have somebody that you trust or that you work with and you can do a role playing, that's even better, right? It wouldn't be the first time that I've role played with a client, right? Where they've pitched what they're going to say to their potential customer, and then I kind of play devil's advocate, right? So you want to make sure you're practicing somehow so you feel confident, okay? Because the more we do it, the more we practice, the more confident we become. So really, when we're looking at that conversion, it's about how are you positioning it? How are you sharing it with the individual? How are you handling those objections? And then how are you finally actually asking them to make the purchase or to invest, right? So that's a lot. We covered a lot in those 3 steps, right? The attract, nurture, and convert. Because within each one of those 3, we kind of went into 3 steps that you do for those. So think about 4 steps we can think through, right? You want to ask the right questions. You want to position yourself as the solution. You want to handle the objections, and then you want to ask for the sale. So questions. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, see, now they're coming up. So Sue says 7 to 10 without a CTA. Yes, so Sue, that's, you can do a CTA, but it's a soft CTA. It's not one of those, hey, partner with me now. It's, hey, I've got this resource. I think it'd be the right fit for you. And Sue, I'm sorry, this was like 25 minutes ago you posted this and it's just now coming through. So I apologize. Right? So yes. So the CTAs you want to figure out, right? Your final CTA is, based on what you do is you want them to partner with you for you to be the VA, right? That right-hand person. So you want to have all those value added CTAs along the way. So it could be like, hey, let's just jump on a quick strategy session without it being the sale piece. Or here's a free resource based on our conversation. I think that would be really good for you. Here's a time management, like if you use the Eisenhower matrix, here's a template for this time management, time blocking, et cetera, that I want to gift you. Right. So that's that nurturing where you build the trust and that you are the expert in this, but they still can't do it without you. Right. So, and Gina is like, you really have me thinking. That yes, you weren't thinking outside the box. And it's funny because we get stuck in this little framework of this is who I am and this is what I do. And how do I not think out of it? How do I, kind of look around? So, so now I'm going to change it and see what I am really missing. Okay, good. Oh, good. I'm glad, Sue. Yeah, they're all out of the comments are all out of order. It's so weird. Okay. So do we have any other questions? And you can always shoot me a DM if you do. That's not a problem. And I will drop the link to that sales script worksheet that kind of walks you through it. I put that together this morning for you guys because I thought it'd be really helpful to help with that last piece, right? That confidence piece. Okay. This was a lot. If you guys think this would be something you'd want to do more of like a hands-on workshop where we spend, 90 minutes, 2 hours, where it's not, one-sided, where we're actually on a full Zoom interaction where we can walk through specifics for your script and we can do practice role playing, let me know because I'd love to put that together. I think that'd be a lot of fun. Okay. Outside of that, I think we're good. Okay, so now I'm just gonna make sure. Yes. Okay, perfect. All right. Then I'm gonna put that together soon because I think it'd be a lot of fun for us to do that. Okay, perfect. I'll drop that link And thanks for being here. This was fun. I wasn't quite sure how this was going to end up. I was just kind of throwing it together this morning, but it's been, this is top of mind for me because I've been working with another client on it. And so, so I thought it'd be fun to do with you guys today. All right. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate you all. And you guys have a beautiful day. All right. I don't know if any of you are here in mid-Michigan. We are having a bitter cold day last night, today. Gorgeous outside, but cold. So stay warm, everybody. All right. Thank you. Appreciate you all.